Music is all around us. It is the universal language. It evokes many feelings and is something to be shared and celebrated. You have found a place where all kinds of music will be celebrated. So welcome. You are tuned in to the Zen Sessions, presented by Here to Zen magazine.
Today on the Zen Sessions, we're joined by Andy Kent from UMI. Thanks for joining us, Andy.
No worries.
All right, so new album, a couple of days away. Probably a bit of a weird album for the band. You worked on it as two lots of pairs rather than a four-piece. So tell me about the process.
Well, we're all kind of separate. Bits and pieces would sort of go between me and Meld, and there'd be a sort of song structure would come up, and we'd all kind of put bits to it, in our own homes. This is around lockdown, so no one could really go anywhere, and then that would inform what happened next. Really, I mean, someone's guitar part, or how the bass notes interacted, and kind of what that kind of did to the chords, and the beat that Russ chose, or whatever changes that someone had made, they sent across to everyone else, and informed where the song was going, and on it would go, really. So started out as some demos, and then we just added and added and added, and then just took away the bits that weren't worth keeping anymore. So we've never done it that way, and it gave us interesting perspective on the tunes and what everyone else is doing. We had time to sort of digest each step. Normally it's everything's on a deadline, it's all on a clock, and time is money, really, especially when you're all together. Like, we all live in different parts of we all have to fly in somewhere basically to rehearse or write or record. So doing it this way meant that you could sit there for as many days as you needed to really digest and contribute to how you felt was right. You didn't have to go, well, God, I got to get this shit done by Wednesday. So it was interesting. Having said that, it was a bit tough to actually, I don't know whether any of it was any good, because we hadn't played it together. I just realised that, when we all are in a room together and I'm looking and hearing and feeling the other dudes and what they're doing, that informs whether it's any good or not. And I can, I kind of lost perspective on that side of it. It was only really when they were sort of being mixed and when we played them, and right near the end of the process, I kind of felt really confident in all of it. So, yeah, it's an about-face process for us, but it seems to have worked. So, interesting.
Sure. And at this point in your career, what is the most important thing for you personally when it comes to making an album?
Look, for me, it's having the process and the outcomes and the journey be a rewarding experience, and for it to be rewarding, I think we all need to be kind of on the same page, and we've got to be friendships have got to be there, a lot of respect, and we've all got to be sort of expressing ourselves the best way we can. And I think that's an enjoyable experience, and usually when that's the case, the outcomes are good, So, I think initially we were like, well, how's this going to work? But, as we went along, everyone was really contributing, some really, doing their job well, and I thought, by the end of it, it was like, rewarding, and everyone put a lot into it, and exactly what they wanted, and I think it sort of came out how we wanted, and the process was good, and we're all pretty tight, and looking forward to really enjoying playing the material at the moment, so it's good.
Is there a song that you're connecting with most on the album?
It depends. I mean, there's a song called Manliness on the record where, you know, I really consciously decided not to play, you know, root note on a lot of it and just find those, you know, those counterpoints and those notes that really, you know, gave the track a bit, you know, more depth and you know, and I think sometimes when you find those movements, then you can sort of drop into, you know, root notes and major kind of feeling notes that really lift and then drop the song. And I think that one for me, I was pretty happy with how it turned out. And because we were sort of doing things in a different way and bouncing things around, I felt it kind of informed what Dave was playing after I sent all the stuff over. So, you know, it's that's probably one of the ones that I'm proud of, yeah.
Sure, and Tim, his lyrics, they can be witty, sarcastic, thought-provoking. Has there ever been a lyric either on the new album or throughout the career that's just sort of left you speechless?
Look, you know, it sounds crazy, but I'm used to his, you know, his very high level. It's when I hear other songs that I go, man, this person didn't make much money for today, you know, because, you know, he's good at it. He's worked really hard for many, many years, and he's written a lot of good songs. So, you know, and on this record particularly, I could, he had all the lyrics done before anything really. So normally they get sort of, you know, dropped on the end, and a lot of records he's frantically trying to get it finished so that when he does his vocals, it's all done, you know. So, but this time around, I could actually play music, my end of the song. I could hold my end up of the song, knowing what the song was about and hearing every one of the lyrics, which actually really helped. It's like, oh, that's what this is about, you know. Whereas in the past, it's often, you know, this happens with all singers. When, you know, it's D-Day when you do your vocals and, you know, your lyrics might not be finished. So, but with this process, it was all about faith. And, you know, he had lyrics before the songs were built up. So, you know, it was good. Really interesting.
Sure. Now, you've got tour dates coming up. I'm pretty sure these are your first sort of major post-lockdown dates.
They are, yeah.
So think about it. I think Brisbane's up here Sunday night, maybe. First moment.
Is there on Sunday, yep.
Yeah, first moment, first song. What do you think is going to be going through your head?
It'd just be nice to be back in Queensland. Brisbane's always been a great audience for us. Really responsive. You know exactly how they're feeling. You know, it's a good place to play music. So, yeah, just looking forward to it.
All right, so we're going to play a game of favourites right now. What's your favourite bass line you've written and your favourite bass line of another bass player?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know what I don't really have favourites of my own stuff. I mean, people pick them out, tell me what they like. You know, sometimes simple ones I really like, and other times ones where everything goes a bit haywire. But yeah, I don't know. Like James Jameson is a great bass player. What was I listening to recently? Oh, I did a tour a couple of years ago, and there's a few covers floating about, and some of those older Risa covers was just so beautifully put together, and the arrangements and the bass parts were just almost perfect. So, you know, When a Man Loves a Woman, and yeah, a lot of the songs off that record, A Man Loves a Woman by Brown, are almost perfect. Yeah, I always tend to sort of go for, you know, soul bass players, not necessarily funk. Metal players, some of it's just rubbish, and rock and roll's fine if it's creative, but the soul players really, that's proper, like, songwriting, bass playing. It makes a big impact on those, you know, on the songs, and that's what generally what I listen to.
Nice. So tell me, what has the last year taught you professionally and personally, and Are there any things that you think you might do differently moving forward?
I think last year made everyone kind of think carefully about what's valuable in life and what they're doing, and not just to sort of just keep plodding along like you have. Like once it all gets taken away, you've got to realise, the value in it. So I think it's just about enjoying what you have and respecting it moving forward. Last year's pretty shit, so it's good to be sort of back to normal, and I think we should just need to appreciate that a bit more,
And have you got any favourite new artists that you're listening to personally?
I've actually been listening to Miley Cyrus. There's a couple of her songs. I actually don't know how old they are. It might be fucking last week or they might be last year, but yeah, there's a couple of Miley Cyrus tracks I'm digging right now.
Nice. Her last album was actually very good.
Yeah, I think, she's produced a pile of shit on occasion, but, there's a couple of tracks I just kind of go, yeah, that's good. I don't mind well-crafted pop as long as it's well-crafted pop,
Excellent. Any songs from the new album that you're really looking to bust out on stage?
There's a track called Lives of Others, which I think is the last track, which is it's a bit of a behemoth. So, it's fun playing that. It's really big and heavy. And
finishing up, have you got any final words for everyone out there?
Just looking forward to seeing everybody, getting out there and playing again. Hopefully they can all roll in and things feel like they've gone back to normal for rock and roll,
Perfect, mate. We'll leave you with that tonight, and we'll see you on the weekend.
Sweet, bro. All right, thank you.
Thanks for your time, mate. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye.
Just released a new single, What's Up? It's a song that Fish have been playing live for quite some time, so why now the choice to record?
So you'd be aware we have, injected it into the breakdown of Your So Vain over the last couple of Red Hot Summer tours, and it started off, as a real small part of just a generalised sing-along, and then the more we did it, the greater it got. It became its own beast, I guess, and by the end, we were doing the full song and crowds were loving it. So as we contemplated doing this brand new album during lockdown, during the pandemic, it just seemed to me and the band that, if we did a great version of it, like we did with You're So Vain and made it our own, that it could herald this new album and I guess in many similar ways, put our stamp on it like we did with You're So Vain.
Sure, and the single does have the Chocolate Starfish sound. It's not a cover, it's a tip of the hat with your own stamp on it.
Yeah.
Was that really important?
Very important, but it's also, I think, it's got a tip of the hat for sure, and it reflects on the three things we've done in terms of the classic album series, where we also tried to make those albums our own as well. But I think it's what Starfish have always done pretty well, is looked at something and gone, how can we make this our own? And like even with What's Up though, we first did it and it sounded probably more like You're So Vain and more 90s sounding, right? And Tim Hanwood, who ended up producing it, said, look, I reckon we could, we had to go at it and it sounded 90s first, not with him, with someone else. Then we did a more dance version of it and it still wasn't quite right. And then Tim just got this sound that still had Starfish sensibility to it, but it was a bit more fresh for Starfish, and then became the blueprint to this new Beautiful Addiction album.
Sure, and Tim is like an unofficial member of Chocolate Starfish. He's filled in on a few gigs and done some production. Is he producing the brand new album?
Yeah, produced the whole thing. and co-writes with me, in a lot of the songs as well. So probably half of it was co-written with Tim and half was with Norm this time, Normie Feldo.
Fantastic. And how many songs is going to be on the new album?
So this is, what are we, 13? I think 11 or 13. Gee, I've got to remember now. It's not right in front of me. I think it's 11.
Okay, great. And any particular subject matters that you wanted to tackle with the new songs?
Yeah, well, look, before I talk about the subject matter, I think, what the pandemic, it really gave us the opportunity not since the first album, to really spend time on each song and really get into the nitty-gritty of it. And, not since we were 25 did we have that luxury. And that's been a great plus, I think, for us to look at a song and go, right, let's not rush it out. Let's not go, that's good enough with the riff or that's good enough with the lyric. We really spent time on it. And subject matter-wise, things always come to me from somewhere, and I don't know where they come from, but the impetus for the songs generally come from me, so I've got to be really happy with them before I share them with either Tim or Norm. And, there's a song called The Beautiful Addiction, the title track off the album, which unconsciously is my pushback to the Kardashian factor of the world, where there's so many layers of falsedom on people that, to get to the core of the apple, you've really got to do a lot of peeling, and it's this reflection on why are we covering up, what are we covering up, and why do we feel we need to cover up and pretend to be all these things to be accepted. So that's The Beautiful Addiction, and that just came from somewhere. There's a song called God and I Know, which is a song I wrote for my wife Mel at our wedding, and I literally was digitizing some VHSs over COVID and just shared it with the boys because they weren't at the wedding. And this is a song I wrote for Mel, just for your interest's sake, not thinking in any way they'd want it to be a Starfish song, and they loved it, so it became a Starfish song. And the third example I'll give you is what the final one that was written on the album, and it's called Burning Hollywood. And I was quite and I've worked a lot in Aboriginal communities and the whole Black Lives Matter thing, and just this tag came to me when I was going for a run one day. They're burning Hollywood down the Great Divide, the stars against the stripes. They're burning Hollywood tonight. And it really talks about the divide between the us and them factor in not just the States, but I think also in the world, and the need to bring that divide together so much quicker than what the world's prepared to do.
Sounds amazing. Can't wait to hear them.
Mate, it's some of the most powerful stuff we've ever done, and I look at it as being the best body of work we've done since the debut.
Wow, that's huge. And considering, the amount of times I've seen you guys live, the one thing that I think Chocolate Starfish have that a lot of other bands don't have is when I hear your record and I see you live, I know it's the same band. Some bands don't translate onto record the way they do live. And, when I listen to your music, it's like I'm there. Is that something that you're very conscious of?
Yeah, look, very, very much. And even as part of doing the vocals, I really give my heart every time. And when I'm performing, it's the same thing. So I think in some ways that's the constant, but also, even the way Darren drums and, having Tim play the guitar, Tim and Zach both play guitar on this. So it's kind of the best of both. So again, that's what pandemic gave us is the best of both those two, contributing to this album. So, look, I thank you for that comment, and it's, it's something I'm proud of as a band, but also, we try and keep pushing the boundaries and not just relying upon, what we were. I think it's always important for me, I know, as a singer, to constantly push songwriting and performance boundaries that, both a new listener and an old listener, again, are both respect and go, wow, this has got to be part of my playlist.
Sure. And you talk about your energy, and you are a ridiculously energetic live performer. Have you ever come undone on stage, had any incidents?
Oh, many. I think it was one of the box album launches that, and this was back when I did drink a little bit. I was coming out in the song Clash. We started Clash, and they had these huge cymbals, a bit like Top Cat, if you remember that back from back when you were a kid. And I had these huge cymbals that I started the song Clash with, and I fell right through this hole in the stage and buckled my knee. I had to go, straight to hospital. I did the rest of the show, and you'd remember the notorious, back incident where I got stabbed by a pot glass at the Cambridge at Newcastle, and nearly died in Newry from getting stage dived and thrown around. So I've had many an experience where I've done crazy things, and physically could have injured myself worse, and then there's always the the mental challenges. During I think probably our Reformation, I developed quite a bit of anxiety, and still that's with me. So I have to manage that. I think you might remember I had to postpone one Red Hot Summer tour because at Jacob's Well, because I was unwell.
Mm-hmm.
And so life, to be at that level requires a commitment to self. So it's managing that all the time.
So the reverse of that, what is the craziest thing you've seen from the stage?
Well, geez, from an audience. Look, I think obviously, energizing an audience to get 10,000 people jumping up and down doing that "What's Up" jump. And I'm sure you've been part of it at some point. That's often pretty special. Look, I've seen guys, be so overwhelmed with a song that, they just, I've seen blokes and women, cry at Mountain, because it's obviously been a poignant part of their life or whatever. And I think that's the beauty of music, there's just, it evokes such passion, and, we haven't had as many hits as someone like Jimmy Barnes, but I think our music still hits at the heart of people, and those fans who are true Starfish fans, passionately love our music as much as any other band.
Yeah, I would agree. Those Red Hot Summer tours, when I've been doing photos, you turn around and you see people just completely overwhelmed, especially during Mountain. It's amazing to see.
It does, and it is one of those songs. I mean, I know it was a hit, but you still get inboxes from people that talk about the courage that song gave them to stand on their own 2 feet, or maybe leave particularly from women. I get a lot of messages around leaving a domestic violence situation where they needed to be the river, and they were stuck as the mountain in a toxic situation, and that song gave them the courage to be able to do that. And even when we did the remix of it with the Indigenous hip hop crew a couple of years ago, this young fellow talked about him as an Indigenous man, gave him the passion to be able to forge his own career as a hip-hop artist, as an Indigenous man, because of the way I passionately sung that. And even watching Jimmy Little, he talked about the passion in the lyric, and how he always tried to, and he was one of my, my dad loved Jimmy Little's music, and I was in bed one night listening to his story, and I was just fading off to sleep, and all of a sudden I heard this Aboriginal kid singing this song. I was like, I know that song, right? And even when you're half asleep and and I wake up and it's Jimmy Little talking about me and the song, and I'm going, that's just bizarre, that an Aboriginal man can think that, about you. And he said, you've got to feel the passion in this song, boys. And he was talking to the red fern community.
That's amazing to hear, man. So good.
It is, and that's what I always talk about, Andrew. If I died today, there's enough. You talk about legacies, and there's enough. The influence that I know we have left as a band, and is already there. So anything above this is going to be a bonus.
Perfect, and you get to blow off a bit of steam soon with the Bohemian Rhapsody shows. What's the
absolutely.
Hardest song? What's the hardest song of Freddy's to tackle, do you think?
Look, they're all hard for various reasons. Like the title, the opening song of the night for me is "Don't Stop Me Now," and that's pretty high, and it's pretty full on. So I always want to hit the stage running with that one. And then the last song is usually we leave Bohemian to the end. So that's, you've been singing for 2 hours, so that's pretty challenging. But then for me, when Zach and I do the acoustic version of Love of My Life, that is such a important song for me because it's always been the song that, we can talk about Mountain for others. Love of My Life was always the song when I was in bad relationships, and it was always the song that I craved that love. I craved that love that Freddy was singing about. So every time I sing that song with Zach, I always try and sing it like it's the last time I'll ever sing Love of My Life, and I always try and sing it not only to the love that I found in my wife, but also the love that I've found in myself in the last 15 years. So it's an important one for me to do. Yeah, and look, that's why Freddy, will always remain my go-to because he always took those moments on, and I'm just glad that Queen can still take them on, and it's what I try and do in my own way.
Yeah. So, what are the plans for the Fish come 2021, 2022?
All right, so having just released What's Up, the new album Beautiful Addiction will be out 14th of May. And then come June, we're going to do 2 nights exclusive, 2 nights to do the album in full to the mega fans.
Yep.
That's going to be recorded and filmed as a doco.
Great.
And, hopefully, because we've only just put out What's Up, but if we're lucky enough to get a minor hit out of it, we would love to be able to squeeze in a national tour of the new album, as well as obviously the Starfish hits, and then I head into Bohemian from August onwards, and of course we've got these odd big shows coming up, like Big Red Bash and Monday Bash. So these big sort of outdoor festival type shows that we're part of as well. So it's still going to be a very, very busy year if COVID smiles upon us and we're able to do them all. I'll be wrapped. Perfect.
And any final words for the Fish fans?
Oh, just that Fish fans are the best, and I know every band will say that, but I think we've alluded to it in our interview here that once you're a Fish fan, you pretty much are a Fish fan for life, and I respect the people that have followed us for almost 30 years, and we just hope that you love the new single and the Beautiful Addiction album and everything else we do as much as we enjoy performing them all to you.
Thanks so much, mate. I look forward to hearing the album when it's ready, and if I don't see you before the Bohemian shows, I'll see you at the Bohemian show in Brizzy.
I'll see you at Fortitude, yeah. Okay, mate. Thanks heaps.
Thanks, mate. See you later.
Appreciate it. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Zen Sessions presented by Here to Zen magazine. If you are listening to us on YouTube, please hit the subscribe button. If you are listening on one of the podcast platforms, please subscribe there. And don't forget to follow Here to Zen Magazine on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.